Let's talk about FedRAMP a little bit. There's so much I could say, to be perfectly honest. So, as with anything, we got to find a place to start. So, 2011, I think that's when this whole saga started. It's fairly easy to understand how the need for this or desire or whatever the word you want to use for this came into being, and that is that cybersecurity is becoming very, very important, increasingly more and more important as the years go on. And at that time, they had, in 2011, they recognized that, yeah, this is a big deal. It's going to be a big deal, especially with the growing popularity of cloud service offerings, right? So with cloud service offerings, let's do a cloud computing 101 lesson. They generally group them into three types of service models, and that is the infrastructure as a service, that's platform as a service, and software as a service. So all these can be authorized through FedRAMP. Okay, so I guess you want to know what FedRAMP is, right? You know what has something to do with security. So it's an acronym, Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program. So that gives federal agencies the green light to use certain cloud service offerings. They have been proven to be secure, and there are three different levels, what they call impact levels. And by impact, that means if there is some data breach of that data, what is the potential impact? So there's low, medium, and high. Obviously, high impact data that deals with the most sensitive of the data that is categorized within these three levels. So that's generally things like financial institutes, financial systems. They are health systems, emergency services. I mean, things of that nature. That if the data is hacked, somebody could die. It could be some really severe consequences. What they call adverse effects. It could be pretty severe if there was a data breach of this particular data. So they categorize it in such, and as you may guess, the higher the impact level, the harder the authorization process. So if for example, if you're authorized at the high level, then yeah, you're going to be authorized at the medium level. That's you already know that, right? So I think a better way to understand this is do an example. I like examples. Probably the leader in terms of cloud service providers that are getting service offerings authorized is Amazon Web Services. And I know there's a cloud war going on, and people who use this cloud don't like this cloud, or so on and so forth. But we're just talking about FedRAMP. And the numbers are the numbers. I mean, Amazon has done an incredible job of authorizing the services that they have. Now with that, given we now have an example, Amazon essentially has, and this within the United States is all we're talking about here, because this is the United States federal government. They have two, I'll just say clouds, and one is called the AWS Gov Cloud, other is just the East-West. So this helps you categorize Amazon services, because see, the Gov Cloud, that's a high impact level, a FedRAMP high impact level. Whatever is authorized on the moderate impact level, that's going to be associated with the East-West cloud. So that gives you an idea. So we know Amazon Web Services, they have dozens of probably hundreds at this point. I mean, probably know probably about it. They have hundreds of cloud service offerings. They have dozens of them that they've been able to get authorized. They can get a dozen or two authorized in a year. It was probably an announcement February of last year where they got 15 authorized, including things like AWS Kendra, which is like their intelligence search engine that utilizes machine learning. In October, they made an announcement about Amazon Connect. So they are steadily getting services authorized. And by doing that, FedRAMP authorized, and by doing that, they are giving federal agencies the green light to be able to use these services. So how do you get a cloud service offering FedRAMP authorized? You actually got two paths, right? So you can get an individual agency, or you can get something called the JAB, the Joint Authorization Board. So there's two different paths, but essentially the path is There's three critical steps, and I don't want to go too far off the rails because I do want y'all to get the general idea of this. There's three critical steps. You have your preparation, and this preparation step looks different depending on the path that you choose of the two. You have a authorization step, and then after authorization, you have continuous monitoring. So whatever the security, whatever the authorization is, you have to make sure that remains true. Because we know that cybersecurity evolves, which is part of the reasons why there's so much emphasis on it. I mean, the threats evolve, and your services or the security protection of those services has to evolve as well. So there's three critical steps to FedRAMP in order to keep your cloud service offering in their FedRAMP Marketplace, right? So you can go to fedramp.gov to get the basic information. That's a good place to start. Like I said, Amazon's a really good example. Google Cloud's a good example of a company that's getting their services authorized. Box, obviously if you're if you're putting documents in the cloud, you may want to know if that's FedRAMP authorized, which kind of brings me to our next point is FedRAMP authorization. That's one of many security certifications you can get. Like if you go to the Amazon website, they have something called a services in scope page. So FedRAMP is just one type of compliance that they care about, right? So obviously this talks about FedRAMP, so we're focused on that. But if you went to the AWS services and compliance page, you'd see at least a dozen, different categories of compliance requirements. So, this is something, again, cybersecurity is a big deal. This is something that, people really care about, and the threats are evolving. So these cloud service providers want to maintain their standing as far as their services having the green checkbox that they are secure up to a certain impact level. So I think I've mentioned enough to get you started, and that's really what this is about, and getting you started. And if we got to circle back and dive into some of this a little bit deeper, particularly if we go into specific services. We talked about AWS a little bit. Maybe we want to talk about one of the other cloud service providers. Then we can do that, or talk about a different security certification altogether. So, but yeah, I think we have to get started. Like I said, go to fedramp.gov. It's a nice place to start the conversation. There's the AWS site, the GSA site. We'll probably have some information because GSA is a big part of FedRAMP. Department of Homeland Security is a big part of FedRAMP. I probably should mention these. DOD, OMB, big part of FedRAMP. I'm probably missing one or two. Oh, NIST, since they create the standards. So it's probably about 5 or 6 agencies And the emphasis is on the CIOs of these agencies, the chief information officers, that work together. Yes, that does happen sometimes in the U.S. government. They do work together to come up with these standards and in these ways of categorizing these technologies and looking at security controls, etc. But yeah, I mean, they just dig into it, dig into FISMA, that Modernization Act. I mean, dig into all that. And like I said, if we need to circle back on some of this stuff to dive in a little bit deeper, we definitely will. But right now, just get more information on FedRAMP. Visit the FedRAMP Marketplace. I think that'll be good, a good start for you. But anyhow, as always, thank you for stopping by. Click the like button or click the subscribe button to help me out, keep the content flowing. We'll talk a little bit later. Peace.